what's the word? The presidential power, which allows him to say that someone's innocent.
Oh, pardon.
Pardon, yes, pardon. Thank you. I think it's a very possible that the president will pardon Michael Cohen once he gets indicted.
Yeah, but there is the possibility of the fact that if he's doing it under state, like if he's doing it under the New York State umbrella, then you cannot pardon someone.
Well, this Southern District of New York is federal, but it's possible that that state charges could come later if the president decides to do that. But currently, everything is federal.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be a very politically smart thing to do to pardon him, but the alternative is probably going to be worse. Another interesting spin on this is that I'm sure that the president will try to shut down the Cohen investigation before the indictments come. Some have suggested that the reason he's brought on Rudy Giuliani is because Giuliani knows people in the Southern District of New York, and his influence there might be useful to the president.
Yeah, it's really quite a thing that should be putting some quake in the president's boots, just to say. So we'll talk about Giuliani coming in a little bit later on in the show, but Mr. Trump, he called Cohen last Friday, 4 days after the raid, to check in, according to people familiar with the call, and he and Cohen really have spoken little since Trump entered the White House. The two men did have dinner together in Mar-a-Lago a few weeks ago, but since the raid, Trump has told associates he kind of feels a little bit isolated. Trump felt that he long had leverage over Cohen, but people who work for the president said the raid has pretty much changed all that. Ironically, Michael now holds a leverage over Trump, Sam Nunberg said. And Nunberg said that Cohen then should go ahead and maximize the leverage. So, I mean, it really is going to be quite an interesting dynamic. And if it were me, if I were Michael Cohen, I had some kids at home, I mean, I would really, literally walk up and volunteer. I was like, you don't have to ask me. I'm telling everything on this guy who's just been pretty much awful to me through the whole time. And just let's just get him over with, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Cohen's famous for having said that he would take a bullet for the president, but that was before all this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And people who know Michael Cohen well are saying that he's probably going to flip.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm very kind of telling quote of Stone saying, Stone recalled Trump saying of Cohen, he owns some of the finest Trump real estate in the country. He paid top dollar for it too. And in Mr. Trump's worldview, there are few insults more devastating than saying someone overpaid for something, which is interesting. So it's like he pretty much suggesting that Trump kind of like ripped him off or whatnot. But though for years, Cohen has really described himself as unflinchingly devoted to Trump, whom he had admired since high school. He told interviewers that he has never heard Trump utter an inaccuracy or break a promise. He has tweeted about Trump nearly 3,000 times. So he's pretty much obsessed with the guy. In a Fox News interview last year, he said, "I will do anything to protect Trump. I'm the guy who would take a bullet for the president," adding, "I'd never walk away." So this pretty much to me is rising as kind of an unhealthy obsession. At a Republican fundraiser in Mar-a-Lago earlier this year, Cohen went so far as to approach the First Lady Melania Trump to try to apologize for the pain he had caused her with a payment to Stephanie Clifford, to Stormy Daniels, the adult film actress who claimed to have the sexual encounter with Trump. So, I mean, this is very, to me, I don't know, one of the more fascinating things about how this could all play out. And I mean, what could, if Michael Cohen were to talk, like what would be some of the things he'd be talking about, like Trump's past, like real estate deals, something like that?
Yeah, I would assume so. One of the reasons that Michael Cohen got involved with Trump in the first place is that his Cohen's wife is Ukrainian, and his father-in-law is pretty wealthy. And one of the things that attracted Trump to Cohen was his father-in-law's money, and that's one of the ways that I think the Trumps broke into the getting Ukrainians and Russians to help finance his business. And so I'm sure there's all kinds of stories about that, and whether there was, there's all kinds of speculation that there was money laundering going on with the oligarchs, putting their money into Trump real estate and so forth. Who knows what else there is? But Cohen was his fixer, and so that means that there were shady things that he tried to fix. And so pretty much every shady thing that Trump has ever done, and apparently there have been a lot, Michael Cohen knows about them. And not only that, he's fond of recording himself, recording phone calls he has with people. And the worst kind of the best kind of information for making a case is to have audio recordings of people talking. So it all depends on what got found in the raid, and I'm sure it's going to take months for federal investigators to pour through it all and separate out what's attorney-client privilege and what isn't. And there's probably stuff about the Russia meddling that Cohen knows about. There's going to be stuff he knows about with the Trump Tower deal that fell through. So it's just it's a vast gold mine of information.
And yeah, there are really some pretty crazy quotes in this New York Times report about the relationship between the two. So over the years, Trump has threatened to apparently fire Cohen over deals that did not work out or snafus with business projects. People who were present for the discussion said he was aware that Cohen benefited in other business projects as being seen as affiliated with the Trump organization, and it irked him. He clearly doesn't think Michael Cohen is his Roy Cohn, Tim O'Brien, Trump biographer, a Trump biographer referring to Trump's former mentor and president's ideal for a pit bull-like defender. So he likes a attack dog on his side. The Roy Cohn was, I believe, a prominent political lawyer. I forget for who, though. I think his abusive behavior to Michael is animated by the feeling that Michael is inadequate, which is a little rough. Prosecutors argued that Cohen did little legal work for Trump and focused on extensive political, media, and real estate dealings for the president. So Michael D'Antonio, who's another Trump biographer, recalled Cohen calling him as soon as his book was published. He wanted to know if I was going to call Trump a racist, and he wanted to know if I would include an old allegation from Ivana Trump that he had committed marital rape, Antonio said. Cohen wanted the title of the book, which is really called Never Enough, changed. When has it ever been, or he recalled saying to Cohen, when has it ever been enough for Donald? So, and Cohen started actually laughing, and he said, I don't have a problem with the title personally. Nonetheless, Cohen said he would call the publisher if he didn't get the title changed, and then threatened a lawsuit when he couldn't. There's all these stories about what happened in the years, like that he could possibly have some pretty dirty stuff on here. So he was dispatched alongside Ivanka Trump to scout a golf course development project in Fresno. He has been active in Trump's political ventures. When Trump pondered running for president in 2012, it was Cohen who went on an early trip to Iowa to meet with the Republican operatives to set up a website, shouldtrumprun.org. He initially even sought to pay some of the costs for the money raised for his own abortive run for the New York Senate. So, I mean, there's all these kind of relationships going on. So he fought with, again, initial campaign manager Corey Lewandowski. Paul Manafort, the campaign chair, later blocked him from coming on board. Mr. Trump never ordered aides to make a place for Cohen. So, I mean, that kind of feeling of legitimacy, I mean, it's almost kind of sad, but it really tells you kind of everything you need to know about Micheal Cohen and the relationship with Trump and the possibility of him potentially flipping.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, and if he flips, we'll see if the pardon comes, because I don't know how the president could withstand him flipping. He'd probably have to come to an agreement with. But but there's even stuff about the pardon that aren't great for the president, because before he's pardoned, at least Micheal Cohen could plead the Fifth and keep quiet that way. That might be a better way to go, actually, because if he's pardoned, he doesn't have that legal recourse to plead the Fifth, and he can still be used as a witness by the government. So, yeah, it's a real problem, I think, for President Trump.
Yeah, it is really tough. It is really tough to look at this kind of relationship. There's if you look at this article, I'm sorry I'm getting a little bit transfixed by this, but there was apparently Cohen's efforts to help only led to really embarrassing rebuffs by those in charge. He apparently approached Trump outside his Trump Tower office with photographs of Bill Clinton and a mixed-raced man, allegedly without any evidence to be the president's former illegitimate son. Trump knocked the papers away, angrily telling Cohen to get out of my face. So, and then particularly hurtful was the way Cohen Trump liked Lewandowski, but not Cohen. So it was really kind of a dark relationship between the two, of pride and worthfulness. It's really weird stuff. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. And coming up, the Democratic Party alleges a Trump-Russia conspiracy in a new lawsuit they have just filed. We'll talk about that with Glenn Bradford. So stay with us. We'll be back in 4 minutes. This is the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Your show will return in just 4 minutes.
Pendo on the beat.